Welcome to a series of lectures on the qualifying examination for the patent agent registration. You know that the exams are forthcoming during the early part of 2024. They are holding it quite regularly these days, and it is a very nice thing. One area which is normally asked, very important from the point of view of the examination, is the statement of working requirements under the Indian patent law. Now, section 146 of the Indian Patent Act, read with rule 131(1) of the patent rules, and there is also a prescribed form for lodging this statement of working. India has very strict provisions on statement of working, and I must say that this provision remained right from the time the Patent Act was enacted during 1970 actually. Now, I must say that there is a lot of simplification of patent laws in India, very nice. We are happy about it. And after India became a member of the WTO TRIPS agreement, our patent regime had become relatively more patentee friendly. You know, in all societies, there is something called an anti-patent bias. Even in United States, there are a lot of people who believe if we have to recommend a patent system today on the available knowledge about the market, many scholars, many countries may not have it. But we are having it because today many countries are also having it because the most of the developed countries believe that this system is very, very important for their overall economic, scientific and technological development. But at the same time, please remember that monopoly is not favored by law. Okay, we have a competition commission and there is a competition act. Practices that are anti-competitive, meaning which will diminish the overall trade between people, is prohibited. And very often you have very big companies like Apple, like Google, like Microsoft, insurance companies regularly get caught for the so-called anti-competitive practices. Okay? Please remember, Lord Atkin very famously remarked that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, monopoly is a real big power in the market. When you have a monopoly, nobody else can sell the product which is covered by your monopoly. So, your profit margin in a monopoly product is much more than in a product which is not covered by a monopoly. When there are more people competing, your overall sales volume come down, and when the sales volume come down, your margin levels come down. Okay, so it will have a bearing. But India, as I told you, is a very peculiar country, and the statement of working requirement under Rule 131 of the Patent Act, read with section 146(2) of the Patent Act, says that every patentee twice a year has to lodge Form 27. Okay. Form 27, prescribed form under the Patent Act. Now, you can lodge one Form 27 for any number of patents. There can be any number of patents, All you can combine more patents in one application. And usually it begins with the statement whether the patent is worked in India. This is working of patent is an important issue. Sometimes patents are acquired only as trade monopolies. The patentee does not have any serious intention of using it. One of the most important recorded cases of competition abuse is you know that the petrol we get in the petrol bunk has about 15% of alcohol, ethylene, okay? 100% alcohol gets laced with the petrol, refined petroleum, and it doesn't require much of changes to the engine, okay? And the engine standards are set in such a way that if petrol is mixed with 100% what I call alcohol, which is a very good fuel, okay, it becomes what is known as a gasohol. Gas, petroleum, hol, alcohol. Okay. The patent for alcohol was first got by a Brazilian company because Brazil, you know, is the land of sugar plantations, and after the sugar crushing season, many sugar companies have bagasse as their byproduct. Okay, molasses as their byproduct. Now they wanted to use glycol. You know, a lot of alcohols, when they're higher concentration, good fuel, it burns clean. When coal or oil burns, it leaves a lot of pollutants in the atmosphere. But alcohol doesn't leave so many pollutants in the atmosphere. So as a better fuel, as it's a better fuel. Two, alcohol is a renewable energy resource. I mean, we use alcohol for different reasons, but that's not my concern. But alcohol is something that you can continue to produce from material. It's not the same as coal or oil. It's a non-renewable energy resource. Okay, coal and oil has a lot of difficulties in extraction, refinement, distribution, a lot of things actually. So the gasohol patent was granted to a Brazilian company way back in 1960. 1960 was the time when in United States a gallon of petrol was costing just about 10 cents. As a school student, I remember the petrol was sold in India for 1 rupee 37 paise. Now, as a college person, I found that the petrol was available for 50 rupees. And now, as a retired person, I see that the petrol cost you 107 rupees actually per liter. I'm not talking about the gallon price. So, and the biggest the demand for alternate came during the oil shock of 1971. By 2000, we realized that the fossil fuels contribute a lot for global warming. So therefore, we think we should switch to cleaner energy choices. But as soon as the gasohol patent was invented, the seven sisters, okay, the big seven oil companies that controls the global trade, all have, six of them have American origin, one European origin, bought up the patent and ensured that the gasohol patent is not worked at all. I mean, gasohol became very popular only after 1980, after the patent for gasohol expired. Now, the seven sisters bought up the gasohol patent essentially to ensure that no one does further research on that. Okay, and the product gasohol is not available in the market. If it is made available, the demand for petroleum will come down. So therefore, I take a patent monopoly not so much for the purpose of me manufacturing, but to prevent that my competitors do not use it and threaten my share in the global trade. So, a non-working of a patent may have serious social cost. So, under the Indian Patent Act, Section 140, please, I want you for you to appreciate the impact of what I call Section 146, Clause 2. You must know that under the Indian Patent Act, there are what is known as avoidance of restrictive covenants. Please remember that the Patent Act itself says that patent should not be used as a monopoly for preserving imports. Usually, a company takes a patent in India, which means nobody can make the patent in India. They will manufacture the product abroad and then use the patent monopoly only to ensure that there is no local manufacturing. This is frowned upon. And Section 46, 146 2 essentially wants that patents must be available for local working. So what do? Form 27 says, first, Rule 131, Form 27 says, the patentee must declare whether the patent is actually worked in India. If it is not worked in India, the reasons for not working. If it is manufactured in India, what is the value of the total manufacture? Whether the patentee has given licenses to third parties for working the patent locally. Okay. A declaration that the requirements of the patented invention in India are available to general public at a reasonable cost. Okay. So, and the declaration will also have another column, namely that if it is not worked in India, if it has not been licensed or assigned to anybody in India, then is the patentee willing to give a license to third parties on terms determined by the controller of patent? You can enlarge your patent in public interest and tell the controller, look here, if anybody is wanting a license in respect of my patent, I am giving it, you determine the royalty that may be payable on such class of inventions. Okay. Now, let me tell you that from 1970, when the Patent Act came into being, to 2023, a lot of water has flown under the bridge. Okay. Now, India still remains a protectionist economy. Protectionist economy means a state employs a lot of tariff and non-tariff restrictions to regulate imports into their country. Every country wants to export, but exports and imports have to be balanced. If the exports are lower than the imports, the countries will suffer what is known as the balance of payment problem. If you continue to face balance of payment problem, you will one day become a present-day Sri Lanka or Pakistan, where when Pakistan became an independent country, $1 could get them something like 7 Pakistani rupees. Today, $1 is like 300 Pakistani rupees. Even for India, the corresponding figure is about 82 rupees actually. So, the state is determined to ensure that the imports are reduced. As far as possible, you should manufacture it locally, and this is how it is done. Now, please remember, I'll just very quickly give you some statistics. Okay. Now, I'm talking about 2017-18. During this time, 56,764 patents are in force, and they received Form 27 in respect of 46,618, and the scrutiny of the Form 27 tells you that just about 12,246 patents are worked in India, which is roughly 1/4 of the patents in force. So 75% of the patents are not worked. There are many reasons for it actually. You can't just blame the patentee alone. Every patentee wants to work his patent. But there are a lot of reasons which are essentially determined by the market, not by the patent. Many of the patents are not workable, or it may not really be. So, over a period of time, the patentees themselves either will declare the patent to be on public domain, they will abandon the patent by not paying the renewal fee. So, if you look at the corresponding figure, for 2020-21, this is very important, more reason. See, in 2017, out of the 56,764 patent, only 12,246 were worked. But in 2020-21, out of 98,839 patents which are in force, only about 13,924 patents are being worked actually, which means 1/6. You understand? In 2017, 1/4 of the patents were worked. In 2020-21, 1/6. Look at the figure for 2021-22. Total number of patents in force, 1,15,916. But what are worked are just 9,610. What I am trying to tell you here is the less and less patents are being worked in India. It's good, it's bad, it's definitely not ugly. You know why? Because during 1970, India was a highly protectionist economy. Today we are not. The maximum customs duty, except when you buy a car or alcohol, is never more than 15%. Okay? There are many countries have a free trade agreement. India wants to have a free trade agreement with Australia. India wants to have a free trade agreement with Europe. And India is negotiating one separately with United Kingdom. So, with India becoming less and less protectionist, okay, and considering that India wants to be more patently friendly, this is very important. This is a change in attitude, which is very nice, because I think that the statement of working requirement, it has penal consequences also. It's as far as a big guy is concerned, like Samsung, like Eli Lilly, Novartis, General Electric, IBM, Microsoft, Mitsubishi, all these guys, they have a regular full-fledged department. They'll file one consolidated form in respect of about 1,000 patents they own and be done with that. But this is a restrict, which is a compliance, which puts a lot of what I call unwanted botheration, compliance difficulties on small and medium entrepreneurs. And one more thing I would say is that beyond collecting the statistics and informing public, these are the total number of four patents in force, and this much is work. Beyond that, the patent office doesn't do anything with this data. You understand? And they are simply they receive the data and that's all. I don't know what do they do without. Whereas Competition Commission, which is an organization with teeth, is in a better position to consider whether there is a patent abuse. In fact, we have also put up another lecture in the YouTube Murali's Musings, the interrelationship between competition law and patent law. Now I must end the lecture and say, look here, this is something that it had a purpose when it was enacted, but it doesn't really serve any serious purpose today. And it, in fact, imposes a difficult compliance obligation on small and medium entrepreneurs. Okay. But that doesn't mean if the controller wants, he can always get information rather than demanding that you must necessarily lodge a statement of working in Form 27. Okay, it's a compliance obligation. They can retain the power, but they can exercise it on a case-by-case basis rather than demanding everybody must lodge this statement of working. And the most important part is, if you don't comply with the Form 27, doesn't mean that your patent will be revoked. Okay? It can at worst be interpreted as an inequitable conduct. So, the state doesn't really get a corresponding benefit. It's actually an obligation, non-compliance of which is not punishable, or the non-compliance doesn't mean anything. So why have a law when we know that the non-compliance is not a serious issue? So these are some of the issues I thought that I should discuss with you. And if you are taking the patent agent examination, this is a very important question. And for your information, we have put up 4 different courses on the law of patent. And there is one general course on the law of IPR. And I am giving you links for some of the courses at the bottom. Okay, do enroll in the courses. And believe me, India needs more and more patent professional because India is becoming an important hub in the technology development, more particularly pharma, information, artificial intelligence technologies. Thank you.